Hello, and welcome to the South Coast Artists Index, where artists, performers, and writers, as well as curators, directors, and supporters, anyone with ties to the creative community, drops by to introduce themselves to you. We'll talk about their beginnings, their vision, their passion, and so much more. The South Coast Artist Index podcast is brought to you in part by Heavenly Spirits, who invites you to celebrate the art of life and creative communities everywhere. Learn more at heavenlyspirits.com.
Hi, this is Ron Fortier with another episode of the South Coast Artists Index. And our next guest is somebody I've been keeping an eye on, literally and figuratively, because of their prints. And it's just like, first of all, his speed to market, we're going to talk about that, is kind of amazing. So without further ado, I'm going to have him do what I have everybody do, is introduce themselves and spell their names.
All right, Ron, thanks for having me in. My name is Jeff Palmer, Jeffpalmer. And online, on Instagram, I'm known as Pixel Palmer because many years ago, I was doing more filmmaking and video than I am now. So Pixel Palmer was my handle on Instagram. And then it sort of became my, I guess, go-to. That's what people knew me as. So that's why I ended up with pixelpalmer.com. It was never a nickname growing up or anything like that. It just became something that I wanted to brand myself with. So
especially back in those days where pixels were like the world.
Right.
I remember, oh my God, doing commercials with embedded pixels and all kinds of things like that.
And one of the things I started to think about with pixels is that it's kind of, there is a metaphor there to be kind of like, explored, is in that pixels are a little bit like tiles on a mosaic. And so I started to think about pixels, the things that I've done over my, creative endeavors, and how they are different colors, different shades, they're different genres, but they all kind of make up this, you stand back and you get a better sense of like maybe who I am or what I do. And it's so little pieces that make up a big part, maybe, is that's...
And it all falls into the CRAP philosophy, CRAP, the acronym for contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, the woman, I think it was Colorado State or Arizona State, I don't remember now, but she created a book, graphic design for non-designers or non-artists. And this whole thing about the Joshua trees, and but the CRAP, the acronym thing, worked because you have contrast. That when you approach the easel or any artwork, it's always light and dark. Okay, that's just one of the contrasts. Big, small, near, far. It goes on ad infinitum. The R, the repetition, and we were taught in foundation classes, if it's important, you repeat it. If it's not, you eliminate it, that kind of thing. The alignment is interesting because people think that alignment and proximity are almost the same thing. They're not. Alignments are exactly that. Countries ally themselves with each other that have like interests and such. And of course, in portraiture or in any figurative kind of drawing or figurative art, who's standing with who, where they are, front to back.
Well, what's center stage? So
exactly.
What's in the background?
Exactly. And then proximity is the closer things are to each other. But then that brings you to another realm, because now when two items are so close to each other, they could become one. Visually, it's not just philosophically. They become one. So compositionally, like the monk Mugi, who did the 6 persimmons. I remember that lecture as a...
that was a lecture, 6
persimmons? There was a lecture back in BF.
You're going to be teaching me
my
a little
BFA
some things
here.
Yeah.
He was a monk, and he did this composition where you start looking at this thing, and there's 6 persimmons. It's an ink drawing on rice paper, and you start going, oh my God, because you start your brain starts connecting dots. You know, this is a group. Oh, but wait a minute. Now this group is bigger and this group is smaller and blah.
So she settled on crap. How did that go?
Yeah,
I mean,
and in a lot of
was that effective in terms of?
It must be, because people borrow that. I used to use it in my marketing lecture courses.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, what?" And I said, "Yeah, stop and think about that from a purely business standpoint. You know, and you can't have up without down."
Yeah,
and so on and so forth. So
you can't have a protagonist without an antagonist. You have to have the push pull, right?
Yeah,
the tension.
There
needs to be tension.
Yeah. So that's something that, you know. Another thing too is that artists, we want that time. We want the time to work, and we want that space to work in, but we become isolated.
Yeah.
And some artists seem to think that, I did foundation. Yeah, that was a long time ago. No. That is one thing that repeats every single day of your life, is those basic principles. So you went from and you met Ryan. Our Ryan Noons, our editor, and he's also a filmmaker. I'll put in a cheap plug for him. He can probably take it out. But
Ryan,
his Beautiful Day just won an award, a major award.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A Beautiful Day.
It's a short film.
Okay.
And it was featured in the New Bedford Film Festival, which is in its second year, and it's already got legs.
Excellent.
You know,
that's wonderful.
So
we went to my fiance and I, Anita, went to a Friday night screening. Saw some local films. So
some of the things,
not just local, but short films. Yeah.
And there's I just read something the other day, or it may have been a conversation with Ryan, that that it's a big deal, but to me it's intriguing. How many women filmmakers there are?
There should be more.
There should be more. And then I believe I was told by somebody, well, there always have been, but they've always been in the background and never celebrated, so on and so forth. So that's one of the reasons why we do this podcast, because you never know enough.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So how did you transition from film?
Well,
and what did you do?
So ages ago, I went to Keene State College. You know, I'd always been a tinkerer.
That's where our co-founder Jeff went.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was there. I graduated high school in 1989 from Dover, New Hampshire. Went right into college, 4 years. I probably could have, looking back, I probably could have taken some time off. I probably could have been a little more serious about it. I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. At first, I thought I was going to be Jack Kerouac and be an English professor. And then I was going to do. Then I got into three-dimensional design. I took a class about design, and that really intrigued me. And then it wasn't until the first semester of sophomore year that I took a avant-garde film class, and I absolutely fell in love. And I tell people I went into this, theater. Lights went down. Started to watch, Stan Brakhage and Maya Deren films, and I was around like-minded people, and I just fell in love with that artistry and that medium. And so I started to go down that road of declaring it my major and becoming a film major. And then after graduating, I did do some. I did an internship at a TV commercial production company in Portsmouth. Made my own films, and just really called myself a filmmaker. Started to write screenplays, and I'm trying to think. Went on a road trip, came cross country, came back. I made a feature film in my hometown of Dover called the film's called On the Fringe, and that was in probably around 1999. Had the premiere in 2001. And it looking back, it really was the one feature that I ended up making. And I'm not saying I won't make another one, but because I think as creatives, we wear different hats, and I think it's, there are chapters in life, and I'm never going to consider myself a retired filmmaker. I think I'm still a filmmaker. I've just kind of meandering around. And what happened with my artwork kind of taking front and center in my life, so to speak, was I was doing some commercial work video work with a company in Providence called Luminous, and I was their director guy, and I would go in and interview people and engage people across like we're doing right now. And then the pandemic happened, and we were kind of trucking along, doing great, and then the pandemic happened, and work was really light that year, and then George Floyd happened, Breonna Taylor happened, and then I started to create protest art. I really wanted to say something. That's what
caught my eye.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm not known for that, but that's that I couldn't sit on the sidelines and not do anything, and I needed to express myself, and that was how I did it.
What in your background caused you or impelled you to do that? Because I've talked about my supposed socialist communist grandfather that I never met, and how his philosophies were imbued in my mother, who was not your typical 50s mom.
Right.
And just recently I was putting all this together, and so what compels you? Is it a sense of injustice?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. Like, I grew up in a very educated family. My dad was my parents are divorced, but my dad was a principal. My mom was a reading teacher, a reading specialist for special ed.
Right.
And my mom was both of them lifelong Democrats, but my mom was a really good, I think I grew up with really a strong moral compass.
Yeah.
And I think I've never wavered from that. That's just part of my DNA. And I think, it's just stuck with me. And I think, I've always surrounded myself with sort of birds of a feather in that sense. And pointing out where people might need to redirect themselves. I don't have any sway in what people believe in or what they do, but when it comes down to being an artist and saying things, getting a message out, telling it's like, this is what I believe in, whether it's whether it's a painting, whether it's a print, whether it's a short film, whether it's a short story, interpretive dance, whatever.
Yeah.
I've always felt very strongly that the medium of creativity is where I believe we can shed light on a lot of subjects and topics that especially nowadays, that are really kind of front and center. So I don't know if I'm answering the question, but I think I just grew up with a lot of very I grew up with a really good friend structure, friend. We were good. We were screwing around and doing some crazy stuff, but we weren't we weren't really fucking with people's program,
Well, you're from Dover, New Hampshire, so I'm wondering, empathies that you developed. How many people did you grow up with, or were you ever exposed to, that were different from you?
Yeah, it was
culturally,
to be honest,
racially.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
I think maybe there were 2-3 black families or black students. There was some Asian families, but it was primarily white. And that was just the nature of growing up where I was,
Right.
And I just think that, I don't know if, I'm thinking like when I became a little more immersed in diversity, I guess I didn't think much of it, but I was almost craving it, and college and going to big cities and things like that. So I didn't really, I had, I lived in, well, do you know where Dover is?
Yes.
Yeah. It's, it's
New Hampshire.
I wouldn't, it's New Hampshire. Yeah. And I don't go back there much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know what more I can say about that.
No, yeah, it because you it's one of those things you have to talk it out to yourself, or in conversation with somebody else, something will snap or pop into your head that you didn't realize was lurking in the shadows.
Yeah.
It really is a game of connect the dots, but first you have to find the dots.
Yeah.
And again, this I just saw her on a TED Talk last night. She's British. Anne or Amy, I think she's on Instagram. She's the one that writes on drawing paper.
Oh, okay.
She writes out the world needs your art.
Oh, okay.
Stop.
I don't.
Don't stop making art. But James Baldwin is cited in a couple of quotes about art. Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, they happen to be people of color, and they're the only ones that pop into mind right now. But then you go back. I was looking at Jericho from the Romantic period in France. Goya, jeez, Jesus, I mean, that guy still is an enigma to me, So there's always been this thing where the artists, because we're so sensitive, and I don't want to, I'm just it's just a Hollywood thing about sensitive people supposedly speak that way, that we get riled up. But I've always said when I was teaching my art history classes that the shaman, in these tribes during the Paleolithic era, were artists. They were the ones that were making those marks on the wall, and that they were also teachers. What they did was it was a teaching thing, not just aesthetics, but it was about teaching. And we need art to teach, but. Unfortunately, if you split the world into light and dark, back to crap, light and dark, good and evil, why is it that forever the people who are in power, who do not want art to be part of core curriculum in schools, who do not want art to be part of other people's lives, why do you think they don't want the art? Because art speaks to power. Art is truth.
And art sparks a passion. Art sparks a voice. If you create art, you have a voice. And I think a lot of the people in power don't want, for centuries, don't want people to really speak up.
Yeah.
And speaking of teaching, I went back in 2016. I went back to school. I went to get my master's at Boston University in film and film production to teach. And so I did teach a couple, probably I think 3 semesters. One at a community college up in Haverhill, and then 2 semesters at Fitchburg State University, film. So I taught introduction to film, short film, storytelling, and all of these topics, contrast, alignment,
crap,
that falls right into what great storytelling is and filmmaking. And so I really loved watching students, watching all those light bulbs pop on.
Yeah.
And sometimes explode, students who really all of a sudden grasp this idea of why we're telling stories,
exactly.
Why we're making art, why getting a message out there is important if you have something to say. And so, it wasn't art per se, but I think it's all part of the same palette.
It is. I mean, Tracy Chevalier. It was a great, probably one of the few books that I can remember the first page of the first chapter. It was The Girl with the Pearl Earring. Groot, the main character, as she's chopping up the vegetables for the story was told so well. As she's chopping up those vegetables, she's just innately making them of certain sizes and keeping them separated so that when Vermeer walks into the kitchen and sees her doing that, he sees, oh gosh, okay, she is a natural born artist.
Yeah.
If there is such a thing. And I think there is such a thing, but I think unfortunately between society and school is a big part of it. That it depends on where you come from. It's squashed out of you.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is.
And I think I've always and maybe it's just my nature. I'm not one to give up, and I think I've always wanted to say something. Whether it's sometimes with my political art, it's obviously directed at certain people and certain ideas, but I think there's a lot to be said about the human connection and how how human connection, how we crave a story that reflects what we might believe in, what we want to aspire to, where we've come from, a sense of hope, dreams and all that. And I find that, I think my artwork can be very singular in terms of its, whether it's a bird or maybe, I'm looking at my prints here, Bob Dylan, or my portraits. Yeah. And that says one thing. And I think, filmmaking can be maybe have more layers and be a little more complex. And that's one of the things that I don't ever want to let go of. I do want to come back to it at some time, at some point in the future. I don't know when. Maybe it's next year after.
When you're ready.
Yeah, when I'm ready. And I think so. To get back to my trajectory. I was doing a lot of that video work, and I still do from time to time when I get when the bat phone rings.
Right.
But I started to vend my art in Providence and Rhode Island, and then it sort of became this. It just became something like, ooh, maybe I can make a go at this. Maybe I can do something more with this, and get it out into stores, get it out into shops and that, and get it out in front of the people. Right. And I did. And, for the most part, it was successful, but, there was some last year, wasn't so great. And this year, I don't know what's going to be happening with that. But I guess so I stepped away a little bit from video, started to put more of my time and attention and thought into my visual arts in terms of printmaking, some painting.
Right. And then in the new stuff, which I want to get to.
Yeah.
But I'm going to roll back just a little bit.
Sure.
Because you said something, quite interesting. Okay, so we're taping this on the last day of April. It's the 100th day of that administration that is in the People's House. There are people who are really spun up, and there are people who are scared shitless. There's another word for it.
Yeah.
I did an interview, a conversation, a podcast yesterday with Zarla Lubin. And she runs something called the Spare Studio. And what she's doing is repurposing art supplies from people who, they went out where they were going to be a big artiste and they bought all the best of everything and then they never did anything. And there it sits or there's so many different sources, okay? So she's repurposing the stuff and getting it out to the people who can't afford it.
Nice.
And it's a great concept. But in the discussion, with the tariffs came up. And a lot of the stuff that's in the art stores, so two things are going to happen. A, for example, if Michael's, because around here, Michael's is our only source. Yeah. We have really no mom and pop. Well, there's the Art Loft in Fairhaven and there's Riverside Art in Somerset. But a lot of the materials that come in, paints, everything else, is manufactured in China.
Absolutely.
So either A, there'll be a shortage because they said that
cargo ships
the
are
biggest
empty.
international
The cargo
port is
ports are
Seattle.
empty. Yeah.
Nothing's
Charleston, New
right.
York. Yeah.
And what is available is going to be charged at 145 percent on top of that. So one thing about artists, and I've had this conversation with Adrian Teo, friend printmaker and former CVPA at UMass Dartmouth dean. He said, everybody thinks they get the art education thing by saying, oh, well, learning art is about problem solving, which it is. But we also learned that when you solve one visual problem, you've created another one.
Yeah.
And you've created, and it goes on,
It's
right?
connect the dots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he said the one thing that people don't realize, it's pattern recognition. That's what makes us so different. That's, people think we're intuitive or whatever.
Yeah.
We may be.
Yeah.
Okay? Or empathic. We may be. But we notice these patterns. So if it's duck, duck, goose, it's going to be duck, duck, goose. But we'll stand there long enough, it's going to be duck, duck, goose, pig. Then we know, okay, it's 7 times duck, duck, goose.
Yeah.
The 8th time is duck, duck, goose, pig. And it's so true.
Yeah.
So what does that, what am I leading up to? We're innovative. We're flexible. So if we can't get these materials, we're going to go into something else. It's just like black artists after the emancipation. They could not get art supplies. They couldn't afford them. They couldn't find them. Nobody would sell them to them anyway. So they started doing collage. Collage is an African American art form. Okay, and there's been a huge revival in it, and in quilt making.
Well, it's funny you mention that because my wonderful fiancée, who is a filmmaker herself, she's doing a short film. I'll do a little tangent here, a little plug.
Right. Sure.
She's doing a short film, a TV series, a feature. She's trying to do it all on Paul Cuffey.
Oh.
Right, so
there's an enigma.
Right, you want to talk to you can talk to her, and oh boy, she'll have some things to tell you about that. But
I'd love to hear about that. Yeah.
So I don't want to go too far in the weeds there because I would want her to speak for it.
Right.
But she did this She did an interview down in was it Georgia? I can't remember. It was down south. With a quilt maker, and talking about how quilt making was part of the underground railroad, and they would use quilts.
Schools of thoughts about it.
Right, they would use the quilts.
One saying no, and the other one yes.
Yeah. They would use the quilts to let
safe
folks
house.
know this is a safe house. Go this way.
Yep.
Don't travel in the day. All that kind of stuff. So speaking of quilts, yes, to your point is. I think artists are always going to find a way to say what they want to say, to get the message out. Yeah. And I've been thinking about that too because of the tariffs and I've started to make I don't know if you've seen some of my coffee tables.
I didn't get to that. You've gone from the political eye-popping stuff that and all of a sudden to pop art. Is it pop art? Op art? I mean,
it's
no, it can't be op art because there's no visual manipulation.
It's very it's like recognizable images and recognizable objects.
You could almost call it high-end kitsch.
There you go. Yeah. Right. And I had a friend from Switzerland ages ago who worked out of LA. He was owned a frame shop, did a lot of frame work, and he would always call it cheap and cheerful. This artwork that is very affordable, but fun, lively, and makes people happy. Yeah. And I think that's also one of the themes that I think runs through my work. At least what I've heard customers tell me. But I also believe there's a certain amount of joy I want to introduce to the world, and this is one way of doing it. Maybe it's through something political, or maybe it's through a bird on a branch, or a cat or a dog, And I think it's important. I find when I do the vending, when I get my work out there, I'd love to have high ticket items, and that's kind of where the tables come in. But I also want people to have the artwork. $20 is for the most part easy for people to part with. Right. Right. And if they see something they want, I want to let them. I just want them to have it. I'd rather have them have it on the wall. I had a customer at a show recently young guy, really nice, had very, very, we were joking, we were laughing, we were talking. He was buying some stuff, prints for his family, and he picked out the Donald Danger one for his dad, and picked out this other one. What was it? A monkey one for his sister or something. And he was buying prints for people in his life. And
they're like safety valves. Those pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they let off some steam,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And he reached into his pocket and he's like, I just got $50, and the total came to like 60. And I was like, I wasn't gonna tell him no. I was just like, yeah, dude, that's fine. I don't really have a pay what you can policy, but I would much rather have him get those prints, get them into the hands of the people that mean something in his life, So I don't know where I'm going with this, other than I think it comes down to getting a message out, allowing the barriers to be lowered such that everyone can own it. Everyone can participate. And yes, I mean, I think all artists would love very expensive pieces to find homes. But I also want, that's where I do a lot of my prints on stickers, and people love stickers. They're a very, affordable way to own a little piece of artwork. And
you go to Play Arcade. I'll put a plug in for them.
Play Arcade,
Adam
yeah.
and Lauren Katz's Play Arcade in New Bedford.
Yeah.
At the bottom of Union Street. You walk into the bathrooms, and their draft station, draft beer station is loaded with stickers. The bathrooms doors, I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
and it's got a cool factor to it.
Totally. Yeah.
There's no. What's the word? And that's what happens with art in a traditional sense. It becomes too precious.
Yeah, exactly.
Most great art didn't start as precious. It started off as gut, from the gut, from the heart, and so on and so forth. And it was sometimes rage art. Yeah, and I think I mean, think about the artwork. I often do think of the cave drawings. I do think of ancient humans. It still boggles my mind.
It is wild, and you look at what they've achieved with talk about art supplies. What did they have? A stick with some charcoal on, a burnt stick, a rock, some berries that had
some pigment that they crushed with another rock.
And then they were determined to do it.
And fat. Yeah. They mixed them together and either applied it with their hands or they chewed it.
Yeah.
And dissolved it with
and spit it out
and used it as a spray can. They were the first aerosol artists.
Are you serious? I said I didn't know that.
I saw this documentary where it was the guy did this demonstration where using it like spitting through the fingers.
Yeah.
Which is
the first graffiti artist.
Oh my God! It's like it was absolutely amazing, the technique that.
By the way, Ron is holding his two fingers to his lips and spitting between them.
Which is also if you've ever watched Fiddler on the Roof, it's a very Jewish thing.
Okay.
So anyway, but really,
I think about that. Like here are early days of civilization. They somehow were compelled to spend the time to put their ideas and the world they existed in on a rock in a cave. I mean, that's absolutely fascinating.
And when I taught art history, I used to tell my art students, everybody gets it backwards because they think there's the Paleolithic, which is the older. Okay, there's the Mesolithic, which is the middle, and there's the Neolithic. So everybody thinks that the Paleolithic, the older cave drawings, are the newer. No, because they think in like child development terms, you have these scruffy, kind of awkward little things, and then as you get older, they develop more and more until you refine it. No, I think, and it's about the development of language. Until language came in around the Mesolithic era, Okay, when it did come in, then there wasn't this incredible need to be so defined
with the
and
visuals.
refined with the visuals.
Yeah, I got you. Okay,
and then
makes
by
sense.
the time it was already, you know, language was already, let's call it.
Right. Those
you know,
muscles, they were working on developing the muscles for language,
Right.
and maybe not spending so much time
Right.
flexing the visual.
Right, because there are those bison from the Paleolithic. They look like, if you look at Korean art, several thousand years up the line.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
I know.
And as an artist, it's almost like piss yourself good because you know, a lot of people don't understand. To an artist, when you drop a line, it is the most goddamn visually. I mean, there's no nudity or nakedness. Or it's just incredible sexiness to the line that it just like lights you up.
It does. Yeah. No, I think that's a great way of putting it. I mean, it really is. And I think that's an extension. I you know, what do I know? But it feels like an extension of our connection to humanity. You know, it's like our connection to getting a message out. Yeah. Because I do think we are. By nature, we want to let people know what we think. You know, we want to talk to people. We want to ask. You know, we want to engage in conversations. We want to be in this this arena with, you know, whether they're like-minded or not. But we want to be able to speak our mind. You know.
Yeah.
And I think art, whether it's abstract art, whether it's you know, furniture, whether it's who knows what. I think we're trying to communicate something, and hopefully people have their receptors out and can understand and get their head around. And a lot of my artwork, I try to, speaking of contrast, the sea and craft, I try to keep it. Maybe not. I try to, but I think my default is very striking, easily digestible images that people can just sort of get their head around.
They're almost graffiti on paper. And this is all linoleum block, correct?
It's I should have brought one in. It's basically, I've done linoleum, but these are like 4x6 rubber. It's like a rubber eraser.
Stamp. Really?
Yeah. It's hard. Because it really needs to keep its shape when you press.
Right.
So, but I found I sort of got, when I first started, I did linoleum.
Right.
I did, you know, some wood. I did some harder substrates.
Oh, they got the jelly pads are another thing too that people are using for printmaking.
Yeah.
Basically, you can buy the high-end stuff, or you can go to a place where you buy cooking supplies and get the gel sheets that they use, like the silicone gel sheets.
Oh, I would got you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like
Yeah. Anything. I mean, wood. You know, wood. I mean, stone etching. You know, essentially. You know, when I would talk to folks about block printing, I'm like, we're born with our own little block print. You know, our fingerprint.
Oh,
you know,
I was speaking with Kirk Nelson, who's the executive director of the New Bedford Museum of Glass.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know there was one. I didn't know there was one.
Yeah. Oh,
wow.
yeah. I mean,
that's cool.
The glass is phenomenal in there.
That's great.
And I went in there because I was speaking with Mary Jean Blasdale, who was the inspiration for the Artist Index. She wrote the New Bedford Artists, a biographical dictionary, this need for documentation of people who did art. Okay, and she said that there were so many women that were involved as their bread and butter job as glass artists. They would paint reverse on glass on the shades and stuff like that, or as part of the pre-firing process and so on and so forth. So for the longest time, I've been wanting to go up there and also in the museum, the Whaling Museum, and this small gallery. I never remember the name of it, but they have several pieces with like a bisque glass.
Did you say the Whaling Museum?
The New Bedford Whaling
they have
Museum.
some pretty fascinating, amazing displays.
So I went there to go talk to the director to see if we're trying to start a series on glass and glass making. I spoke with Tracy Barboza, who was episode 2002, 2001. She is the one who did the glass elevator tower for the New Bedford train station.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's great.
So anyway, Mary Jean Blasdale's thing is that a lot of these women didn't get their
That would be disappointing if it wasn't.
So a lot of women didn't get their due respect because they were also practicing painters.
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm.
But in that world where,
The patriarchy.
the patriarchy, and misogyny, and everything that goes
Yeah,
with it,
yeah.
never got their due. So I went to go talk to him about that. And there was a reason why I brought him up.
Something about etching, fingerprint.
So he showed me that there's one woman that they can trace back because she
would hold the glass and the...
No. That's
no.
what I thought he was going to say. But the Japonisme, if you remember Japonisme, which was really...
I'm learning so many things here.
Japonisme is what stimulated Van Gogh. That's the right way to say it, by the way.
Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Van Gogh.
And Gauguin and the Post-Impressionists. Because the Japanese were sending us pottery, but it was like market pottery,
Gotcha.
nothing great, like dollar store stuff by today's standards, I guess. But wrapping them in phenomenal prints.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Imagine getting this 2 franc pot, pot wrapped in a hokusai print. So it's totally mind bending backwards, right? But she came up with a way, like if you ever seen a quail or pheasants or even some chickens, their feather patterns, there's this light dark, almost like a herringbone kind of thing.
Yeah.
She figured out she could mimic that with her thumbprint.
Oh, wow. Like using her
just
thumbprint?
Using her thumbprint, just putting it in pigment, powdered glass, and putting it in there. And it was like, holy crap,
that's amazing.
So cool,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's great. And again,
yeah,
you think about art supplies,
yeah,
and adapting, right?
Yeah.
And how techniques, what inspires techniques, and it's just who knows how she came up with that.
Yeah. She might have had an
oh
shit moment. It's like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those moments are those moments are precious. I think those are important. Those are the things you can't count on them, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we keep. I think creatives, any artist needs to keep making. In the face of, I can't get that, I can't do that. Well, I'll do this. I'll pivot.
Well, going back to this, is this, to use the term, alla prima? Do you do sketches of this before you execute, or do you have it in your head, you put it down, you make adjustments, and boom, you're in?
Yeah, so I do. So I come from I've done a fair amount of graphic design in my days. So I tend to include or incorporate graphic layouts and graphic. What am I trying to say? Forms, yeah. In the work.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like this, I'll sketch on paper. I'll just have an idea what I want. I'll do some research. I'll find some photos of starlings and birds and things like that, and figure out, okay, this is how I want it. This is what I want to do, and then I will transfer that to the block, and and go from there. With portraits, I tend to find. I like to find a couple portraits, and sometimes I'll mix them so it's not taking it directly from a source.
Yeah, because
you can get into.
You got to stay within that fair use
exactly.
bracket.
Yeah, so I try to make most of my pieces unique in the sense like I bring my own.
Thank Tupac for that. So with the infringement, copyright infringement. Sure. Yeah, and then now with artificial intelligence. People don't realize that that's also can be, or probably maybe being used by the quote-unquote police state, because it'll pick up where you did back in the day. We used to call, in advertising, your reference material or source material lifts.
Okay.
Because you lifted it. You were grabbing that image because okay, you don't have a monkey dancing on an elephant in your backyard. You have to go look magazines, Time magazines, post.
And now it's Google, so you just
exactly.
if I want to do a bird I'll find 10 different images, and I might pick one, and then I might rearrange it, something like that. So, but I think being inspired by what's out there is part of being an artist, right? We don't create in a vacuum. I think we need to see things and experience things and look at things. I mean, I think about going on, just vacation trips or just, trips down to New York and taking pictures of graffiti on the sidewalk. I was like, oh, there's something about that. I mean, I'll walk by, I don't know if this happens to you, but I'll walk by walls that haven't been plastered yet. And there's like, gooey, there's like, there's spackle and there's a little paint over here and there's some dripping happening. And I'm just like, that's fucking amazing. And I'll take a picture and,
we got invited to a tour of the Zeiterion Theater that's being totally rehabbed, right?
Where is this?
The Zeiterion Theater in downtown New Bedford.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and we were in, I forgot what level we were in, and I'm looking at this drywall going, that is an incredible Mark Rothko.
Yeah.
I mean, but in a palette.
But we see that.
In a palette, I don't know if he ever went to the grays. Like,
Yeah. But I think, who was I talking to just recently about, maybe it was a friend of mine. It was a friend of mine. And it was my buddy Kevin over in Providence. And he said, he was talking about Aldous Huxley and dropping acid and stuff. And it's like, people, it's like something about acid helps the normal person see the way an artistic, creative person might see the world. It's like elevating your senses, elevating like, oh my God, the sky is so beautiful, But some people aren't really concerned with that. They're not looking at that. They're not looking at a little flower on the sidewalk going, that is so compelling. There's something about that image that really makes my heart swell. And I need to take a picture of it. I need to draw it. I need to do whatever.
That's one of the good things about having the smartphone or the iPhone.
Yeah.
Is because you've got this camera with you. Because I thought about that, the other day, and walking the dog always helps too.
Sure.
Because, if her enrichment, what is enrichment for a dog? That's just letting them sniff the crap out of everything. Instead of saying, we got to hurry up, we got to be. Just let them go.
Yeah,
so I've been with her for half an hour. That's the time that I had. And then we walk our way back home.
Yeah.
But, you can capture something. I've been watching when you're walking down the street, and depending on where you live, the cracks in the asphalt, and in order to stop it from getting worse, you'll have crews come down with that
the blowtorch or something,
the molten asphalt, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And there's one in particular, like I've got to bring a ladder because I can. It's a gorgeous freaking abstract
there you
painting,
go.
Right?
What do they call that in Japanese? It's the art of adding gold to cracks.
Oh,
and making it.
In fact,
I always forget.
I did a painting of myself about my ADHD-ness.
It's called
Sakuchi. No.
No, I wish I need to commit that to memory.
I'm looking up.
But you know what I mean.
Oh no, I know exactly what you mean. It's going to drive me insane if I don't look it up now.
You're more beautiful with the broken bits, I guess.
The broken bits are make a big difference.
Right.
Oh my God.
Inchugai.
No. Kintsugi.
There you go. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Kintsugai or kintsugi. I'm not. When it comes to Japanese, I don't really. Languages aren't my thing, but
no, I had a really incredible foundation teachers at SMU, and they
kintsugai.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's
isn't that it?
The more.
It takes a while, but
that's the more. Don't forget, you got to pronounce all the vowels anyway, yeah. So what I did is, because of the shattered aspect of ADHD, late diagnosis, knowing I was weird all the time, but not knowing medically why I was weird. So what I did is I did exactly that, and I got the gold paint, and I had the broken me, and
awesome,
did all that stuff around. But yeah, it's. And then again, there is, and you have what they call the outsider art. And you have all these people who are now coming to the forefront after never being celebrated, recognized, or anything. People are finding caches of their work.
Yeah.
And a lot of it poor people, and primarily a lot of African Americans. and they made with what they had.
Yeah.
There's a guy like Jack Whitten. Who my God.
Yeah, his work is I follow his account on is he still alive?
No, I think he
he's not.
passed recently.
Yeah, I followed his account because I'd come across these images on Instagram. I'm like, God, that's gorgeous.
Well, you went to BU. And
for a year, yeah.
Oh, well, but still, I mean, we had this conversation the other day, and I've mentioned this before. My friend Bob Berdesky and I were going to the MFA to go see Cy Twombly's show, and if you want to know about that, listen to the other episodes. But we're going by one of the galleries, and it says Sir Frank Bowling Jr. And it's like, oh, okay. So we walk in there, and we're both painters, and it's like, and these are my pieces here, abstract work. And this is when there's a whole story behind the abstract work and such, and I'm doing more figurative work, socially conscious work. And I saw this guy's work, and it's like his surfaces were. It's almost like glass liquors, Hey, you want to lick the surface; they were that luscious. And then he's using colors that most people can't get away with.
Nice.
Okay, iridescent, fluorescent kind of colors, and. There was this video going, low volume video of this looked like a black blues player, an older man with a white beard, and I couldn't figure out what the hell does this man have to do with these paintings until I got around the room, and it was him. It was Sir Frank Bowling Jr. Who couldn't come because he's in his 80s. I think he's 90 now, in his 90s now. He couldn't come over, so he did a video presentation. He's from Guyana. And he taught at BU.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
So now Bob and I and our friend Bob Deck, we went. I wanted to go see the John Wilson because the guy's charcoal is another thing. I mean the charcoal, it's just this hand thing that we've taught about the hand. I didn't know what his race. I didn't care. And then my friend Bob said, "Oh well, I know you're because of your family. One half of your family that's important to you." It's like I didn't know, and I don't want to say I don't care. I'm intrigued, but he's from Guyana too, and he was also on faculty at BU. Wow. And I'm saying, so my point being is, why did we have these two incredible powerhouses in Boston? Teaching at BU, which nobody, as far as I'm aware of, and I could be, because not all that well informed, how could BU be such a high-end arts curriculum, okay?
So I just wanted to mention my connection to New Bedford.
So we're talking about that, new furniture. So we've got three big chunks. We've got your filmmaking background. We have your posters, let's call them that, your small
prints,
small prints.
Yep.
And then we have this fun furniture that is actually kind of a throwback mid-century of this cool stuff that you would get for your kid's room or whatever.
Totally.
And it's.
I mean, who doesn't want a Cheez-It table?
Exactly.
Or a floppy disk.
I think you're one of those Gen X's,
Yeah. I mean, I was born in 1971, so
right.
There you go.
These, like Ryan, he went up to New Hampshire or Maine to go see the Oscar Mayer mobile.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think that is in Maine, isn't it?
Yeah.
So my connection to New Bedford now is I just opened a shop, what I consider more of a retail shop than a studio, because I do most of my work in the home basement,
right.
In
which
the
allowed
garage.
me to legitimize you to be a guest.
Right, and that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
So now I'm on the third floor in Suite 40, beautiful room. Two tall, floor to ceiling windows on the sort of northeast facing side, so it's getting a lot of indirect light.
Right, so the Colo Colo Gallery must be.
It's on. That's on the other side.
It's on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm on the West Rodney French Boulevard side.
All right.
So I signed the lease at the end of January. It took me about 2 months to really kind of take over the space, set it up, and I had the grand opening on March 22nd. And so I'm quote open for business. Although business hours on a third floor in the Mill Building is like. Who's really walking through there. And I knew that going into it. I knew foot traffic and getting people up there was going to be a challenge. So I'm navigating that right now.
Right.
But in my filmmaking, chapter, which isn't over yet, I made a lot of music videos, and I would do a lot of set design. So taking over a space, setting up my tent, very similar. And so when I got in there, I really wanted to take advantage of the big walls, the high ceilings, and I'm really, really loving the space. And I love the community over there at the mill.
Yeah.
But again, my biggest challenge is going to be getting people there to come in, to buy a table, to buy, and I dislike that part about art, in that, especially where I'm at that kind of crossroads of trying to find a commercial success with just making art for art's sake.
Yeah.
Is like, I'm always thinking like, what is it going to take for someone to buy something?
Yeah, because I don't think anybody's going to wake up in the morning and go, I need to buy a fried egg table.
Maybe they're out there. I just need to find them.
But there may be somebody going, where can I buy? I mean, I'm looking for a gift for somebody.
Right.
It's got to be really funky, really unique.
Yeah.
And not tacky.
Yeah.
But like almost
handmade too. Handmade.
Yeah, like a piece of art. Yeah.
So I encourage people to.
So you almost need to go from wholesale. Well, become a wholesaler to other.
I'm trying to.
There's a couple of shops in
like
town.
I would like. Here's the thing, and so just an example of cross-pollinating artwork and getting involved with other artists. There's a musician. I don't know. Can't remember her last name. Anyway, she just showed up on my radar. She's just part of the Kilburn Mill on the second floor. Her name's Molly, and she's going to be doing this music. Molly, I don't know.
Yeah, she was one of our podcasts.
Oh, okay.
Scott.
Musician, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so she's doing this big grand opening show on the second floor at her place the weekend of I think the 15th and 16th of May. And I saw that and I was like, I love music. I mean, my goodness, it's part of. I used to be in a band. I play instruments and all that. And I thought, I should reach out to her and let her know I have a giant guitar pick and a vinyl coffee table. And I reached out and said, hey, you're doing this show with musicians. I would love to lend you these tables to, down there for the show, because I think it's a way of getting my work out there and being part of the mix here in New Bedford. And so she got back to me and said, oh my God, that's great. And so let's get together and talk about it. So
Molly O'Leary?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I believe that's her. Yeah.
Yep, Molly O'Leary. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, the other thing too is with musicians. I mean, come on, who doesn't want a Fender or a Gretsch or a Gibson?
Exactly. Yeah. And so I want to do a custom one. I'm actually I want to do a custom one for Jack White. Instead of guitar pick, it'll be Jack White.
Yeah.
So I'm there at the space. I really love it. I'd love to be able to make it sustainable. And to be honest, it really just needs to pay for itself.
Yeah. No, well, like everything else.
And maybe a little bit more would be great, but I'll just take paying for itself as a win. But it feels really good to be set up, because I got to a point where I have so many pieces. I have so much art. I got the flags. I got, I do have some big pieces on doors and things like that. And I just needed to kind of get it out in front of people. And so that's where I'm at right now. And it feels I'm really excited to start getting involved in the New Bedford and South Coast community, the artists, whether artists, musicians, writers. And then, in fact, I just, maybe someone else you might want to have on your show. His name's Nick. He owns a frame shop downtown.
Oh, I've already spoken with Nick. Yeah.
Nick, wonderful guy, came to the shop.
Dachshunds.
His Dachshunds, came to the shop. He's like, hey, someone mentioned I should come to your shop. And so we're going to do some cross-pollinating with prints. So I went over, brought him some prints. I brought him my David Bowie print, David Lynch print, a New Bedford print, and he's going to do the framing. And so,
in fact, I think I saw. I could have sworn I saw one of those prints in a frame through his window.
It may be already up there. I don't know, but so we're going to be going back and forth, and so it's. I'm really excited about what can happen this year for well, not just for me, but just the the momentum of meeting, even just you reaching out to me, say, hey, I saw you, So there is something to be said with waving that flag on social media and I'm here, I'm doing this, and sometimes it goes into the void, but once in a while, you get that ping.
Yeah, well, I think Alignable has been good, but now I'm finding there's a dark side to it because the spam calls. I've noticed that quite a bit. But Alignable was more to be given credit for connecting with you and several other people than anything else. But again, it's like anything else; they just keep overwhelming you, and then they stop putting out emails to other people or messages to other people that seems like it was written by you, but it's not. They're just saying, Jeff would like you to refer him to several other people. And like you say, I did? Right? So that's the kind of, speaking of which, here comes one now from Lyons, Colorado.
Who do you know in Lyons?
Nobody. No. I'd be lying if I told you. Anyway,
And on that
no, we got to wrap this up. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, I love it.
You're definitely going to be one of the comebacks.
Wow!
For sure.
Hey, that'd be you. And I learned a lot, and I could learn more. You really know your stuff, and it's anyone who's that deep into art history is like my jam.
Yeah. Well, I had Evan Firestone, who ended up at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I spoke to him a couple of years back when I decided I was going to go for my PhD, and he talked me out of it only because he said I can give you the names and numbers of 6 Harvard and Columbia and other PhDs, and they're working at Burger King. He says, "You want to spend $60,000 to work at Burger King? Go ahead." But he also beat the shit out of me for 4 years. And at one point he said, "Why do you keep coming and taking my classes? Because, you don't do really good." And it's because I said, I'm working 40 hours and blah, 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 blah. And I said, and then, and I said, look, getting a B from you is like getting an A in any other class.
I got you. Yeah.
So it was always that connection. But with that in mind, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Folks, if you, as I say often, always, if you've joined us in the middle of this for whatever reason, we've been speaking with Jeff Palmer, also known as Pixel Palmer or Jeff Pixel Palmer, and he has an incredible background, also a brand new place at the Kilburn Mill. I think it's like the first commercial I've ever done. But it really, because it's really some incredible stuff. If you're looking for something unique, again, I'm doing a commercial because it's what I did for 40 years. If you're looking for something truly unique, whether it's something to help as a steam relief valve for your political leanings, or something that is really, really, really unique and wonderful and fits in with somebody's lifestyles or preferences or whatever, go see Jeff. And with that in mind, folks, remember, and it's a lesson that I have to repeat to myself every day: take care of yourself and be kind to others. See you next time. Bye-bye.
To learn more about the South Coast Artist Index, visit theartistindex.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Be the artist you believe you are, and let's take care of each other out there.